Welcome back to the Amazon European Masters. My name is Initialize. I am joined by none other than the mighty Dan Harrisons, better known as Orcs. I'm very excited back on cast with you, sir. You basically, as I understand it, flown back from France having done the LPL to be home to cast some EU Masters here with me. How are you feeling coming into these last 3 games of the day?
Pretty good. I mean, I feel like E-Masters is always such an exciting tournament. You have all the ERLs working towards it. Always comes out with some bangers, and then the LFL wins. But obviously, all the other regions are going to try and prevent this time. We've seen a lot of battles throughout the group stage, but so far, I mean, still, LFL still seemingly on top for the time being.
Yeah. It does seem that way for now, at the very least. We'll see whether that change the tournament goes on. And we've actually got to get our eyes on one of those LFL teams. We've got BDSA up against SK Prime. And SK Prime had a pretty decent look in earlier in the day with some nice early games. It didn't really convert. It's not been the tournament they want. But maybe, just maybe, they have an angle here against BDSA, however hard it may be to do.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, when they last played them, they had a decent early game.
Exactly.
They managed to challenge. They managed to put up a good contest. So hopefully, if they can continue that and then push it further into the game, that's the ideal. That's what we're looking for out of them this time.
Absolutely. And, we have got our eyes on Eckas, what we were talking about just before we came on air, saying, look, which players we want to watch, and saying, look, well, maybe there's a world where they can repeat that early game, look to make Sheo's life that little bit more difficult. And that does then assist with the likes of keeping the rest of the BDSA map kind of under control, which can be so hard to do. And some of those bans coming through already, they're getting rid of Crownie, Sivir, something that has been so dominant in recent weeks. And you heard him in the interview earlier saying, look, we reckon we're the best bot lane in the ERLs. We want to be the best outside of LEC. And getting rid of some of those power picks makes a lot of sense. Whereas for BDSA, they're focusing on the Trundle, they're focusing on the Azir. Pretty standard zone control-y picks that have been pretty high prevalence.
Yeah, it's quite common for BDSA to ban away the Trundle, just frees up the jungle pool. He has a lot of good matchups into things like, the Wukong, the Poppy. But Wukong is something that's still available. Yuumi, something that is also still available. So we'll see what SK Prime decide to ban just with that final one here. And they actually go for the Wukong here.
You spoke of it. There it goes, straight away.
Yeah, so there's options here. You could go in the direction of the Yuumi wanted to pick up the Zeri, but the difficulty with that is that SK Prime could just deny it, so potentially not going to prioritize that on the first pick.
Instead, it's the Vi that's been so popular in recent weeks, something we've seen a lot out of the jungles, often paired with the Ahri, which was covered earlier on. Now we can see what SK Prime want to look towards. There are things like the Zeri, as you mentioned, but a lot of teams have been really willing to Lucian Nami into that, and especially considering it's kind of being left open, you wonder how much of it is a bait for exactly that. Looking towards that. Yuumi, are we going to see the Zeri to follow up with it, though?
I feel like you have to take the Zeri in this rotation because obviously the Sivir's not there. This is why I kind of like this Vi first pick, because the AD carry who deals with Vi the best is Sivir, because you can just spell shield the ultimate. Having that point and click CC against something like the Zeri is super important. So now BDSA need to lock in their bot lane most likely, and it seems from the picks they're hovering, they're going to go for an aggressive bot lane, and the goal is going to be to play through Crownie and get a lead.
It's been a common trend. They'll go towards the Twitch, though, which is not so much an early game point, but you can kind of match and outrange the Zeri at a similar point and just pop out from the middle of nowhere. And if she tries to run away, she's still in range because Spray and Pray is such long range. They'll add the Lulu to back it up. And now you need to see what SK Prime wants to kind of lock in here. You'd imagine something like a jungle, but I could also see something like an Ahri or something that's blind pickable in mid lane as well.
Yeah, 2 schools of thought. You can go the jungler and match if you feel like your pool's going to get pinched too much. And it looks like that's what they're going to do with the Jarvan. So obviously, Twitch being a mobile pick, if you cataclysm him, he will be locked in that. You can fire the Zeri laser over the top of it as well, which is obviously very potent.
Of course, yeah.
But I feel like, we've seen Crownie pick up this Twitch with the Lulu. It's going to be an issue in the later stage of the game, and even in the lane as well. Having the Lulu Twitch can provide a decent amount of pressure. But yeah, go to the next rotation. At least SK Prime, they're in a spot where they have first choice if they want to take a mid laner. They can also get counter pick for Alois, which I think would have a lot of value.
Do definitely want to think about something like that. It's the Fiora that's coming out for as far as bans from BDSA. It's next on the other side, so both teams definitely wanting to pinch those top lane pools and find a preferable matchup for their respective top laners. Of course, Adam notoriously able to find his very dangerous 1v1 advantage. We've seen what he's done on the likes of the Set and the Aatrox throughout the tournament, and you wonder whether one or other of those may be taken off the table here, considering how potent they've been. Of course, SK Prime do have the 4th pick here, so could also just pick one of those, but there's that Aatrox we were talking about. Let's see what BDSA want to round out their bans with.
Yeah, seen a lot of the popular top laners being clamped down here, which, you know, is solid for SK Prime, banning away the Rector and Aatrox, but also the problem is Adam is someone who has a lot of these picks you don't often see. The Darius and the Olaf, both available, so, you know, by pinching the more meta top laners, you could just lean onto that and still have a really potent pick. We'll see what SK Prime opt to go for in this situation. If they have a top laner still left open that they really want to prioritize, now is the time. But I feel like mid could make sense. Pick up the Ahri, denying it, because I honestly think the Vi Ahri is such a potent combo. And as well, a pick like Ahri is very good into Jarvan, so they end up going for that as quite a bit of a denial more than anything.
And there's just the Gnar blind. That's fallen a little out of priority with some of the nerfs that came through in recent patches, but that will then be backed up with the Taliyah, which, while it's not necessarily strictly as easy a CC setup as it is with the Ahri, still follows up with the Vi very well, and if the Vi's locking someone down, it's an easy shove. Question is, though, that what Phantomles wants to lock in here, what Alois was to lock in here to potentially counter that Gnar. He's debating an Aurelia. Be a little bold, and perhaps not necessarily what we'd always expect out of SK Prime.
Well, looks like they could go in a different direction. They're going to go for the Ornn. I think that's fair. I mean, I feel like Gwen isn't really strong enough to, at the moment, just since the nerfs. Aurelia, I feel like it's such a fickle matchup. It'd be so risky to commit to that. So they go for something safe. They go for the Ornn. Going to give them that pretty solid front line and a lot of engaged tools when it does come to those team fights. But ultimately, there's still a lot of power on the side of BDS Academy. And particularly, I feel like a lot of the time we see these compositions where you have this active mid laner like the Taliyah for Reeker. He can use that pressure to lean towards bot lane. And if you get Crownie ahead on this Twitch, you know, we heard him in an interview earlier saying how he believes he and Erdote are up there. Best bot laner outside the LEC. You give him some pressure on these picks and he'll take over.
I mean, this is a game to prove it, right? Gadget is no slouch, famously being at Worlds and stuff. He was known for ridiculous things like Heimerding a bot and the rest of it. Very creative, of course, is now on towards the Zeri. And you know what happens if the Zeri gets to free farm, hits that 3 item marks. The LCK termed it, you know, that sort of certified Zeri moment. We've seen monstrous things out of the LPL. Every region in the world has seen pentakills out of this champion. And you've chosen to let it through. You've gone towards the Twitch counter pick. You now need to see what Crownie and Erdote can do to kind of match it. And that kind of is where my eyes turn towards. Even if, you know, in that pregame we say maybe Eckas and Sheo are the ones to watch to boot. You know, there's got playmaking for the jungles, but I suspect it's going to be thrown down towards those bot lanes.
Yeah, I think it's a place to go because realistically, you're not going to achieve much by going top lane, right? Gnar into Ornn. Gnar is going to have a bit of an advantage in terms of like side lane pressure. He's going to be able to obviously be in the range into melee. There's a couple of moments where Ornn can threaten kill pressure, especially as he has spell books, so can pick up their ignite. But for the most part, I feel like the main thing for me is get control of the mid lane, right? Because both of these mid laners, very active roamers, and then lean at bots. Whoever can succeed on that should be in a comfortable spot in this game. And I do want to talk a bit about the jungle matchup as well, because, you know, both of these very powerful gankers, and we saw Eckas have the edge last time they matched up.
Yeah, especially early on, right? But we were discussing, like, look, part of what made BDSA's early game a little bit, we'll call it lackluster, I think is probably the term we'll do, against SK Prime the first time around, was Eckas kind of stalled out Sheo's early jungle by just getting in there and being really aggressive with the sort of early levels. Of course, they've got the level 1 ward down to SK Prime, still know where Sheo is starting, and that will give information to the likes of Eckas to try and do what they did the last time and interfere with those early clears.
And honestly, Eckas is solo starting his red buff. It's so common to have a ward on your Raptors, so I like that he's gone in this direction. It looks like he's going to try and avoid being scouted out, and it's so important. Jarvan is one of these junglers where the early ganks can be everything. Landing your flag and drag, getting that early pressure from as early as level 2. So if he avoids being spotted here, maybe he can come out with a bit of a creative angle, get some early momentum, get some early pressure. And something that SK Prime have been known to do is try and get some early pressure from those ganks.
Completely agreed. And, you know, literally the moment you were speaking about the ward on the Raptors, there was a ping from BDSA saying, what the hell? No one started up the Raptors yet. That feels a bit odd. He will now be spotted coming on over. And so they will now have the information literally as we've been speaking about it.
Yeah, I love how I set up the whole point of maybe we get the creative angle.
Literally.
No.
Not to throw you under the bus there, but it was a really cool idea.
Yeah, so ends up going for the Krugs, so gonna go for a bit more for full clear here, but obviously feels like as a result, if he's not going for something creative, we're probably gonna get this full clear, but both junglers will end up on the bot side. I and may end up fighting over the scuttle. And bear in mind, Crownie and Erdote are the ones who have pressure in the bot lane. It's kind of expected. We've seen a lot of Lulu into Zeri. Lulu into Yuumi, and Lulu is a lot more active in the early levels, a lot more able to contest with trades with that empowered autos you get from picks.
Completely. That does feel the way, and I know there was some discussion about how willing you are to trade out those 2 picks, or maybe look for the Nami with the Lucian. Those enchanters have become really high priority in the bot side, but I think we may have to skip the discussion of meta orcs, because we've got ourselves a little bit of a blue buff contest, this time from BDSA, and Sheo, who's got the smite available, maybe looking to get in there. They're going to go in. Flash of North from Phantomles does get the charm down. Eckas, I believe, secured his own blue buff, has to flash away. No, he did not. Now he needs to get back out. Gadget throws over the Ultra Shock laser. Nobody dies, but it's flash from Phantomles and Eckas in trade for only the flash of Sheo, and he gets out with the blue buff. Crownie's heal as well, but that does feel like a win for BDSA.
Yeah, such a volatile early start. I feel like a big reason they went for this was because Eckas went for the full clear, right? Because he was late onto Raptors. They expected him not to have done his blue, and so Sheo goes for the invade, has the prior with his laners, and then the reveal, it was a very volatile play, right? Flashes both burned, but at the end of the day, Sheo is confident in his smite and will be rewarded.
Gets to move back over to these Scuttle Crabs as Eckas. A little bit sheepish, tail between the legs, but we'll at least get one of those Scuttle Crabs, and have to keep our eyes now on this mid jungle. Without their flashes, maybe there's a world where that could get a little bit punished, especially if they do go for a gank that goes a bit wrong, or a roam that goes a bit wrong. But as it stands, still a relatively even early game. That's the only bit of action we've had thus far. See whether Sheo can continue the pressure. He has been relatively impressive, all things said and done, throughout the group stage. Honestly, so have all the LFL teams. That feels a little bit of a blank, a carte blanche statement to be making, but this time around feels like they've learned from the lessons of the previous game and have managed to control the early jungle just that little bit better. Yeah,
and I mean, getting that early advantage is going to make a lot of difference, but the big thing for me is the summoner spells being down. Something we often see in the LPL, and I managed to go 5 minutes without mentioning it, so...
Oh, well done. I mentioned it for you earlier, so... Yeah. I did you a solid. Come on.
A big thing they're so keen on is, like, if you burn a summoner, whether it's because, a good trade in lane, or something more active like this where they go for a set play, is what you do with that. So now Phantomles is down the flash. There's only a brief window where he's punishable before his ult is up and available, but you can find those angles, you can lean into them, track those summoners, and try and take advantage of that to get an advantage in a skirmish. And particularly if it's in the setup for a neutral, that can make all the difference.
That does feel to be something that Sheo was attempting now, looking to skirt the Vision River, or the River Vision. There we go. That's the right order for those. It took me a second, but got a little bit spotted, took out that ward on the same target. And as you said, a couple minutes before that flashes up at level 5, Ahri likely to be hitting level 6 soon, and then will be a lot harder to lock down. But it would be nice to see whether there is a punish angle there. But Reeker, with level 6 himself, can now start looking to use the Weaver's Wall. Instead, with the early pressure in mid and bot, we're going to see BDSA roam over to start up at a rake pretty early on into the game.
Yeah, and this has shown a ton of confidence from BDSA, because often with the tankier dragons we saw when they got buffed up to be bulkier, if you can be challenged on it, like, it takes so much longer to go down, it can be risky, but they have the confidence and the pressure from the laners. And also, Vi notoriously good at dealing with these neutrals because you get to that percentage HP damage on hit W. So they'll grab that one, and Cloud is honestly a pretty nice one to get early. Already, it's given 24 movement speed to Sheo out of combat.
Going on in, literally talking about it. It's actually the way around. Reeker in trouble, but finds a seismic shove, and there is the Vault Breaker afterwards. Superb, but it's just not enough, actually, because the first one still goes away of SK Prime. Now, Eckas taken very low, but it's still going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of SK Prime, who make it work in the mid lane. Summon a spell disadvantage. Be damned. Top side, solo kill from Alois. He doesn't even have the ignite you were talking about.
I think he did. I think he used it in the trade.
Really? Okay.
To get him low enough to find it. Just a fantastic play from Alois there. But also, the mid-jungle 2v2, as I said, the flash being down for Phantomles, I thought that would be a vulnerability. But the 6 comes in, Eckas finds a good gank angle, and is able to punish. The fact they get the double as well, fantastic. We'll see the replay. So yeah, has the ignite here. And this is the window with the Ornn into a Gnar where you can punish. You can see Adam jumps in the more aggressive direction, doesn't respect the ignite, and quickly realizes he's in trouble.
Yeah, he tries to do the cha-cha slide, but only gets the one hop this time and does go down to Alois. And that's great news. You get the Warden's Mail nice and early, and 3-1 early on SK Prime. Early game once again being pretty nasty as they get in onto Reeker. Cataclysms there should be an easy setup. Charming fish in a barrel. Another kill over to Phantomles.
And I love this from Eckas. I was talking before about, you know, being a summoner, repunish it. We just get out the replay and he's already back mid. And this is the power of Jarvan, right? Flashless and mobile champions. Both of the big carries on BDSA are fit into that wheelhouse. And it's so easy just to press the R button, trap them in and look for the punishment. Now, play in the bot lane.
Yeah, Gadget take a little bit low, but his exhaust for Ignite traded. Will just Spark Surge his way to safety, but Herald's been started. But Eckas and Phantomles saying, well, maybe we'll start this one up. Don't have the ultimates, but still feel like they have an angle here to maybe come and test, especially with Adam going down towards the mini Gnar form. Won't have the Mega right now. They are going to try and contest this.
Yeah, we do see Reeker moving over as well, so it should just be a 3v3.
Misses the Vault Breaker, but still going to go on in regardless. Flag and drag trade down to Sheo, had to flash away. Does not have the cease and desist anymore. Phantomles trying to find his way in. I have no idea who secured that Herald. Looks like it was Sheo, who then gets the kill onto Reeker, and then gets on out with the Herald to boot.
Yeah, close one there. I just feel like not having the ultimates available for SK Prime put them in a bit of a power deficit there. And also Sheo, again, with the good smite, secures the Herald, gets the heal, so he doesn't end up going down, and then is able to pick up both the objective and the kills. So, you know, SK Prime had a solid start with those kills, with that momentum, but it has been answered now with the Herald in pocket. Sheo going to be able to hopefully get some plates to add on to there, but we'll get in the replay. And yeah, I just feel like the fact that you don't have those big ultimates for the Jarvan and the Ahri really hurt them in this play.
Now, honestly, the moment the Vault Breaker missed and there wasn't the most follow-up, I thought maybe they can turn this around. But they just don't quite have enough damage, and Sheo's flash gets him far enough away from the autos that smite into that turnaround, gets to stay alive, gets the Herald and gets out. Pretty smooth.
Yeah, solid play from BDSA. And now they are in a position where if they can find an angle, if they can find a gank opportunity, if you can find a punish, you can throw down that Herald. And honestly, for me, I'm looking towards the bot lane. You still have the Weaver's Wall available. Yeah. If you can get Crownie ahead, get those placed into his pocket, you can really take over, but he's been pressured.
Literally, the moment we ever talk about something, a fight breaks out in this game. We'll try and turn it on to Crownie, who does get wild growth. Gadget can't quite secure the kill. And here's the Weaver's Wall we literally just mentioned. Hops on out, trying to find Gadget, who does go down. Seal needs to hop onto Eckas. I don't think he's going to get a chance. Flag and drag away from the cat, who would love to go back onto somebody, but there is no owner for Yuumi. To turn back, though, as Phantomles turns up to try and turn around. Vault Breaker over the wall, but there's still 2 charges on the ultimate left. So nowhere for Sheo to go. A double to Phantomles. And it is, in the end, a 3-for-2 in favor of SK Prime.
And Phantomles just been fantastic this game, coming in for the cleanup. And it looked like BDSA maybe wouldn't find the favorable play, right? The Weaver's Wall comes in, they get the play going. If they'd got those kills there, this could have been a Herald down bot lane, some easy gold for them, and a huge lead. But the Ahri now 4-0, huge in this fight.
I'm just looking forward to that replay, because honestly, I thought when the initial play didn't work out that the turnaround would be so huge. Reeker gets set up on the Weaver's Wall, he's there first, but there's enough gold in this Ahri to make it pay. And like, here's the start, because Gadget popping the ultimate, just going all in here.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is that Crownie very low on mana. So despite the fact that he does survive, he's down his ult, doesn't have much mana, he can't really contribute much into this fight. And Reeker does manage to kill Gadget here, but then they don't have enough damage just to finish off in the situation. The flag and drag from Eckas, absolutely fantastic to interrupt and buy time. And then this is the ideal circumstance for Ahri. You're joining the fight late with the ultimate, cleaning up kills, getting resets. Oh, a bit more of a fight coming out immediately.
Picture in picture, we're going to see an attempt to stop the Herald Blade bot side, knock up onto Erdote. He's got nowhere to go. Gadget will be given that kill. On the other side, Eckas goes under the tower, can't quite secure it. Cease and desist to lock him up in the tower. It's a 1-for-1 now, as Crownie continues to spray and pray, but it's still 2 back in favor of SK Prime.
Yeah, but it still feels pretty positive for BDSA, just because they got the Herald down, and look at mid and top. Neither solo lane from BDSA showed up, so they're just taking plates for galore in the situation. So sure, kills in favor of SK Prime, but not a positive play for them, I fear.
The gold literally shows that. They watched it go from about 1,000 in favor of SK Prime to a few hundred in favor of BDSA. At least Gadget will claim some plates back in the spot side, so it's not completely one side. And of course, they got the kills as well. But you know, the fact that solo laners didn't turn up, did get those plates, huge for BDSA, who, while it feels like they've been losing out on the skirmish, have still been playing the map pretty well.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I love the energy SK Prime are bringing in here, right? Yeah. This team cannot make it further in EU Masters. They are locked out of going to the knockouts, and yet they're still doing all they can to try and make things happen. Now, Phantomles does have its flash force, obviously Oh, but look, gonna be pressured here.
Oh, that was Sheo who's starting up the dragon. He's still got the ultimate to turn this one around. One more charge remaining. Sheo locked under that cataclysm will set up a great ultra shock laser. On the other side, Eckas trying to get onto Reeker. Phantomles still pretty low, but we'll have a Yuumi behind and 2 charges of the ultimate. Can still try and use that passive. Tries to get towards Crownie, but the charm will not land. Now Eckas gets seismic shove, takes too long, trying to play fancy with his footwork, and gets taken down by Reeker. It's a 1-for-1, all things said and done.
Yeah, but Sheo's going to be respawning soon, so they can probably make a play for the dragon before Eckas is up and available. The Vial is coming up in a few seconds as well, so BDSA should be in a good position on the back of this one, and Crownie once again hunting for a play with the ultimate here.
4 control wards for BDSA in the river as Crownie just opens up with the spray and pray, trying to force...
Where's the
play? What? He's just gone, expunges him, deletes him from the rift.
Yeah, this is the issue, because I think Gadget must have slid over the wall to get there. No flash, and obviously waiting for the cooldown of his E means he just gets gunned down by Crownie. Nice heads up play, and now, because of that advantage, should be able to look for this bot lane tower. Oh no, the Yuumi!
It's criminal, quite literally, because look at that skin on Crownie. He gets another 3-0-2. We asked him to step up on the Twitch. He's doing exactly that in those last couple plays. Gold lead suddenly in BDSA's favor. Another fantastic shove is trade out by Phantomles charm, but Erdote is here. Adam flash for the ult. He's roamed from the top lane to secure the kill onto the otherwise unkilled Phantomles. Massive plays from BDSA to get kill after kill after kill.
And I love seeing this from Adam. Honestly, this is one of the big textbook things that I feel like defined his play when he was on Fnatic, was roaming whenever he had an opportunity to do so, right? You get pressure in the top lane, you just take a wander down mid and see what happens. And in this scenario, you pick up a kill. So BDSA, the game was close, like gold was completely even. And the passage of those last few plays, they've really pulled ahead. 3,000 gold in the lead now.
It doesn't feel like there should be a 3,000 gold lead game, but that immediate little play there as Crownie turns up in the mid lane. What was SK Prime looking for pick after pick has turned into BDSA doing exactly that in reverse. Won't quite work out this time around. Sheo and Eckas trading out here, and Sheo needs to be a little bit afraid because Alois is here. Has got the call of the Forge Guard. Cataclysm to boot, stops the easy escape over the wall, but here comes Gadget looking to trade out to Sheo. Does get wild growth, now Crownie flashing in. Seismic shot gets Gadget, he's down. Adam double hops in with a crunch. A double for Crownie to boot. Alois now caught between 5 members, nowhere to go. SK Prime's invade could not have gone more wrong.
And Gadget looking like he was going to have the pop-off moment, but Reeker immediately shuts him down on the play. And now things looking a bit painful. I gotta say, Sheo, this is the 3rd smite fight he's had with Eckas, and the 3rd one he has won. Really coming ahead in that regard. We do see the Q, the Vault Breaker blocked here, but still has the flash available. And then Gadget here, wanted to go for the pop-off moment, but gets caught by the seismic shove, and at that point, it's just over.
And Adam gets another flank coming in late. And, you know, they used the Call of the Forge Guard and the Cataclysm onto Sheo, who got out alive. That's a lot of your teamfight ults that just disappearing. Now you've got a Twitch at 5-0-3. Now you've got Reeker, who's gone from being very down to ahead in gold. And everyone, in fact, on BDSA has got themselves a fairly healthy gold lead. And this is a tricky position now for SK Prime. We've praised their early games. We've had less praise for their mid games. You're beginning to see why.
Yeah, and the problem in this situation is you have a Vi on one team, right? And you know what the goal of Vi is going to be. You jump on one of the carries, and you... yeah, violence. And you make their life hell. And the problem is, for SK Prime, they only have 2 carries, right? You know, Jarvan is the frontline engager. Alois is a tank. So if you pop that ultimate on one of them, that's removing one from the fight, and even more pressure gets put on the other. With Twitch as well being so fed, this looks like a hard game to win from this position for SK Prime, but if they can find picks, that can be the angle, right? They have those engage tools. They can dictate the start of the fight if they want to.
Mountain Dragon's been alive for a little while, but neither team's been able to claim it due to just the vast quantity of action that's been going on.
Yeah, we had a 6-minute Fierce Dragon. It's been sitting there for 10 minutes. This dragon's getting old.
Literally. It's just been like, I've spawned and no one wants me. Very disappointed. Sheo goes all in on the backside, but Phantomles starts the ult to start turning this one around. Herald charges on the other side as Eckas trying to escape. Call of the Forge God trying to turn this one around. Only knocks up one, but it's onto Reeker. The turnaround's still pretty good. Phantomles 1 charge left, has to go away, and SK Prime running for the hills. Eckas goes over the wall, tries to go to Erdote, but has got the wild growth. Cataclysm comes through, and Erdote gets over both the Cataclysm wall and the fat wall there to escape. Well played Flash. Lots of summoners blown, and BDSA get out alive with the tower in mid lane and with the dragon.
Yeah, so still winning for BDSA. We can see how both teams very cautious about pushing into chokes. And I feel like you only need to take one look at the team composition to see why. As soon as you start to get threatened by things like the ultimate from the Twitch, the ultimate for the Ornn, the Unraveled Earth from the Taliyah, it just becomes so scary. So both teams end up backing off of that situation, but now BDSA have that second dragon in pocket and still work with a 6,000 gold lead.
Man, this is an exciting place to be in, of course, if you're a BDSA fan, because again, if they win this game, in fact, if they win the next couple games, they can set themselves up for a banger final match against Heretics. They got the 1-0 head-to-head there, but if they lose that one, we get tiebreakers. If they don't, we get a definitive number one in the group. So this, in a lot of ways, is BDSA proving they are a... what's the word here?
An LFL team.
Yeah, well, an LFL team is what I was trying to escape using, but like, it's true though, right? They are looking to make a case for being a championship contender, right? Along with the rest of the LFL teams, and being able to handle a team like SK Prime, who are 1-3, being able to then go into a match against Heretics, who are kind of your next competitors, with a strong strength of schedule behind you, is what you want in your resume. They're up 6,000 gold in this game, and that is a tick in the box right now, setting themselves up with the rest of the tournament in mind, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think expectations are super high for BDSA, because not only did they come second in the LFL, but they also actually won their initial match against LDLC.
Ooh.
And a bit more action coming in.
Yeah, cease and desist comes through on a Gadget, who just disappears. There's nothing to be done. Final chapter is only really there to sign off the life of Gadget. Now the turnaround is pretty good. While Growth keeps Sheo alive for now, will not be able to secure the kill. Cataclysm comes out, but he's still alive. How is he still alive? He gets on out despite absolutely everything from SK Prime. Big popped on him.
I mean, Sheo doing exactly his job. Dives in, executes a target, and somehow, some way, manages to get out again. And unfortunately, SK Prime burning so many resources onto him not to take him down. But this is kind of the issue, right? As soon as the Zeri dies, where is the damage for SK Prime?
So Everfrost Ahri's not got a second item completed yet, so not really the most burst despite the initial kills all going the way of Phantomles. Second item now completed for Gadget, but he has been struggling to stay alive, and while a 4v5 happened in mid lane, the bot lane tower fell. Now Adam, without the flash, having taken that inhibitor turret, might well be left out to dry here. Shut down goes the way of Phantomles, his 6th of the game.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. You'd really like to get that kill on the Zeri, but beggars can't be choosers. You can kind of see the SK Prime know they don't win 5v5s. They don't win full team fights, and they're not trying to look for them. They just want kills. They want to take anyone they can off the map, and they do manage to find Adam there, but still, you saw how much effort it took, right? Flashes committed across the board. Phantomles and Eckas both using theirs. And it's not like things get any better, right? You get the kill, great, but BDSA are still in your jungle, stealing your camps.
Yeah, literally, Eckas goes to see whether his wolves are available, but there's wards all through his jungle and overcomes like pretty much 3 members of BDSA to force him to flag and drag right the way back to his base. And at least they'll get themselves a turret, their first of the game here in the bot lane, which was taken by minions, but now Phantomles has to pop the ult to escape Sheo, who is by the Raptor water.
Yeah, I mean, ult down on Ahri, it makes it so hard to fight, and I think, you know, if we see SK Prime, I mean, one thing is if your Zeri gets a few more items, that can make a lot of difference. You got ornaments that'll come in. A fight where you have stopwatch for Zeri can make all the difference, right? Because you can block away the Veiled. But the problem is all these things just need a drastic amount of time, and you can see BDSA are not giving that window. Currently with an 8.5k gold lead. At this point, I feel like BDSA, you can just lean towards Baron, right? You have a lot of DPS for it. And on top of that, if anyone tries to contest, it's so easy for them to start a fight.
Your wish is there, Commander. Apparently they're onto Baron. You can see the control wards blocking both entrances. They're thinking about turning, and you mentioned the turn was pretty good, but SK Prime relatively quick to keep their distance. Sheo still off vision, healing up nice and quickly. Gonna try and maybe look over the wall. Too much more to be found as Crownie does throw out the ambush, and he's a terror as well if he turns up somewhere with Reeker and Sheo out from 2 screens away because of how far they can engage from. Someone will melt, and the vision control for SK Prime is being very hard to set up right now because of how aggressively BDSA have been controlling both halves of SK Prime's jungle.
Yeah, it just feels like they're constantly challenged to see if they can pick anyone off, and you know, they don't always get the kill, but banning ultimates, banning summoners can make all the difference here. And SK Prime struggling to find angles in. We do at least see Alois hitting level 13, so he'll get the first ornament off the game. Obviously, he goes to himself, but still, Dragon now going to be secured. And that is one kind of saving grace, is that because there was such a delay between that first and second Dragon, it's still going to be quite a late soul, right? Because if you see BDSA taking the 6-minute one, you're thinking, oh man, this could be like a 21-minute soul.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, though, and actually, now. They've got Soul Point. I also want to draw your eyes to Sheo's inventory, where he's gone for the Warmog second on Vi, because he's going in so hard, getting chunked out. It's just a way of saying, right, well, I can just sit in the bush and heal right back up again.
Yeah, I mean, I respect it as well. Like, just the amount of health you get from Warmogs, 800 in a single item. You know, later in the game, it's not going to be as valuable. Just raw health, you do need resistances to come in, especially when, like, you get things like LDR that drop it. But just 800 health at this early in the game is so hard to deal with.
Weaver's wall, cease and desist, but look how far he's been dragged. I'm not sure he wants to go on that particular car chase. I think he needs to call for backup from the rest of the precinct. Sheo goes over the wall, knock up onto Erdote, but he'll get on out with a Vault Break. A nice attempt from Gadget to drag Sheo out of position, but they just don't quite have the burst. Partly due to the fact Warmog's health means they don't really have damage right now to kill him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's more perplexing. The fact that Gadget managed to dash over the wall and they managed to, like, somehow detether Sheo from him when the ult ends. He ends up over the Raptor wall. Or the fact that Sheo just walks out again. Doesn't even have to be in the flash.
Right.
He's just so tanky.
Oh, it's not over. Sheo is coming forward. The Everfrost buys some time. Reeker gets charmed up and there's a volcanic rupture. Goes to Alois to try and keep him away, but Adam and Sheo continue to chase Alois, who's got Seal on top of him. I wonder how far they want to go for this. Remember, there is no turret in that bot side, but they will now pull away. But once again, contesting for quite literally every entrance into SK Prime's jungle.
Honestly, I'm getting Terminator vibes from Sheo, just like walking at SK Prime, unrelenting, and you just can't even take him down.
Is this
probably Terminator 2, I'd say.
Yeah. Just turns into like some weird liquid metal, but Eckas does have to flash away from said Terminator. It's locked in place now, but I don't think they have a molten vat of metal to melt down this particular Terminator this time around. Someone called John Connor, because Sheo is unrelenting in this game. Ultra-shock laser onto 2 is beginning to sting, but of course Gadget yet to get the Infinity Edge. Not as far away as he was a few minutes ago, and if they can stall out, because the Baron hasn't gone down, and because that Dragon was a little delayed, I wonder whether SK Prime might still be able to get their AD carry to that all-important third item for Zeri.
I mean, that's the critical thing to think about is, sure, BDSA are 9k gold ahead, 3 dragons in the lead. They have Twitch and a Lulu and this Immortal
That's making
Vi.
me hurt. Yeah.
But SK Prime have his Zeri. And it always makes me think, it's possible, it's plausible. And BDSA going to start with the Baron that we talked about before. And it looks like they found a window where SK Prime are on resets, leaning bot to defend against Adam, who does have the Hull Breaker. And so as a result, this will go completely uncontested. And this is what they do need to push the pace of the game a bit further forwards. But Adam...
Oh, wait, shot laser takes down to 170. Valiant attempt from Gadget, but he won't get it. And the top bot lane inhibitor falls as well before that Baron goes down. So BDSA say, enough of this stalling. We're going to take control of the game right here, right now.
Yeah, and the problem is we've already seen how BDSA are so aggressive at setting up the vision around the jungle, right? They push forward, they take control of the area. If anyone steps up, they challenge them. And with the Baron, it's going to be so hard for SK Prime to really push us out of the base. But there's Dragon in a minute 45 that will be that soul. So honestly, for SK Prime, I think you find an engage right now, start a fight before they can even push the waves in, and just bank on that.
Oh, there's a lock-in in the mid lane, but it's not going to be quite enough. Phantomles stepping forward, but Crownie gets to free fire. Wild Growth will keep him alive, though. Back end of the fight. Here comes Adam. Mega Gnar with 3 into the wall. A triple to the top laner of BDS. They make that a quadra. Can he look for the whole damn squad? Eckas running back towards the fountain and try and deny Adam from his bender, but a walk towards it. It's delivered on a golden platter. Adam with a pentakill.
Huge pentakill coming out. Yes, Crownie goes down, but the Gnar is there, and the Gnar is strong. Adam decimates SK Prime, and BDSA looking to try and clean sweep this entire group.
What a gentleman Eckas was. Delivers the rightful pentakill over to Adam after another superb flank. A superb game from BDSA in general. They'll move to 5-0 and set themselves up for a fantastic final game of the day. What a game it was.
Yeah, I mean, you saw SK Prime at the start. Phantomles in particular, I feel like him and Eckas had that good duo, got that start, but the pace of the game was set by BDSA. And when it came to set up around those team fights, they just really excelled in it. Sheo in particular was an absolute madman on the Vi and just found any window he could to start the engage. But in the end, it's Adam who puts the final flourish on this game.
It does indeed, but maybe we should turn our eyes instead towards the mid lane, because Reeker is here to explain how that one went. Wow, that one was pretty extreme. You guys snowballed that one very, very quickly. Can you give us a bit of a heads up about what your thoughts were in the early game? Because it was a lot of kills trading back and forth.
Our thoughts in the early game, I mean, we had our game plan since we knew from the start where Jarvan started, and our bot lane is a lot stronger than enemy bot lane. We decided to invade, which turned out in our favor. But the other early kills, especially the 2v2 around mid, were not really planned. It's just, I think we took Drake, and we were hovering bot side everyone, but we didn't have wards to put, but I still felt safe around bot. So it was like a bit of an unlucky timing, I would say, that Jarvan just ran bot and ganked me from there. It was my mistake for sure. But usually, after this blue buff, we didn't plan for a heavy skirmish early game.
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a bit about your matchup into LDLC, because obviously that was the finals in the LFL. You managed to take them out the first time. They managed to get ahead of you the second. How do you feel like you've grown since them as a team? Because, you know, it's looking likely that they will be another team who you're going to face off against if you're on the same side of the bracket, or maybe in the finals. Do you feel like you've grown and made improvements from there that you going to be able to beat them out next time?
I mean, I think we do. I think when it comes to our growth, especially in the bot lane, it has gotten a lot better. And to be completely honest, I feel like we would, even if we didn't grow, we would be able to beat them. It's just on the finals day.
They're quite strong.
I don't know. Like we were just a bit off. Like I wouldn't even say that we were choking necessarily, but it was just we were just not playing to our normal level. We were just unsynced. We played. Everyone was more of an individual than as a team. And I think right now we're getting. I mean, we're back to it most likely. And if you would take on LDLC right now, it would be just like in the upper bracket final.
Got you.
Bold words.
Now, I should really at this point ask about this your last game against Heretics the other day, but I'm not going to do that because I want to know about the room you're sitting in. Like, do you play in this incredible arcade all the time? What is this room? Why do you have it? It's awesome.
I mean, the BDS office is kind of massive, yeah. Our gaming room is like down the hall. There are like 3 gaming rooms. There is still the Rainbow Six team and the Valorant team sometimes. But in this arcade room, I would say it's more of a show. I mean, of course, sometimes, very rarely though, we go to the pinball machines or 2 of us play billiard. But this room mostly is only used for table tennis. Sheo and Adam like to play it a lot. But
who's the best at table tennis?
Yeah, exactly. Who's the champion?
The best. I mean, we didn't even really have a tournament, but it should be me.
That sounds like content.
I was playing in a table tennis club when I was 10 or something. I was first in my region.
All right.
But then I quit because I wanted to focus on school and become a doctor.
And now you play League of Legends. Thank you so much, Reeker. And thanks for the insight there and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff at BDS. That's just incredible stuff to hear. I wish you luck with your League of Legends and medicine and table tennis career, I suppose, as the future goes on. Best of luck at that final game. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah. See ya.
That's just insane. What can this man not do?
Yeah, he's got it all. I mean, I just feel like it's such a funny way to progress from it. It's like, yeah, you know, quit to become a doctor, and then here I am playing Pro League of Legends. But clearly, it's working out, right? I mean, I had a fantastic game today, and BDSA are just looking really on form. I gotta say, Sheo won all the smite fights and was just an absolute menace on this Vi. I love this aggressive style of jungle play where you're just willing to challenge, but it went beyond the early game into the later stages where every team fight, it's just he felt like he had no restraints.
And between that Herald fight and this play here where Sheo gets out alive once more, it kind of felt the early matching from SK Prime, at least in terms of the skirmishes, really fell apart here. And they started to really lose out on gold. And you suddenly realize, wait, this is a 3,000 gold lead for BDSA. Where the hell did this come from? And then you end up with plays like this where Crownie just gets to blow up people. And it kind of ends up from here. You can see Reeker gets on out of here, and Eckas finds he's engaged, and it's just never quite enough. They don't have the burst damage because Crownie gets to free fire. He finally gets taken down, but look at the health bars afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, they take him down, but the cost is heavy. I love the fact that Sheo gets the long-range ult, but then Adam comes in on the Gnar. And honestly, let's be real, for top lane, for Adam, it's been a relatively quiet game, had the pressure, was doing a bunch in the side lane, but as soon as he joined that team fight, he just hit everything. Gets himself a pentakill. Huge proper performance from him. But I feel like all of BDSA are firing on all cylinders, and we see in that gold graph, right, the slower start, but as soon as it hits their moment of the game where they want to take over, it just goes out of control.
They found their moment to strike and did exactly that. Shout out to Eckas as well for coming and delivering the final kill to that pentakill as well. That is an honor opponent moment if I've ever seen it. Wish that was back in the game, honestly. I really enjoyed that moment to be able to say, well done, you were great. But it was another really, really strong game. And of course, it does set us up really nicely for that final game with a lot more stakes on it between Heretics and BDSA. But that's still got to come. You can see our standings here, 5-0 for BDSA. Heretics just 1 game behind. In fact, they'll be playing next as well. So it depends whether they can set themselves up for that potential revenge match.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have such an exciting finish for this group because we get the matchup between the two who can't make it, but obviously pride is on the line, really big. If you're trying not to finish the game at the bottom of the group, not finish the tournament at the bottom of your group, but then also obviously, I mean, we could talk all day about how exciting that final match is going to be. And I feel like, you know, the fact that we've seen BDSA continue that undefeated streak just puts further emphasis. Heretics will be the last team possible to stop their run in this group.
Absolutely. So apologies there on my schedule. I mean, of course, it's the last game where they're playing, not the next one. And of course, because the next one is SK Prime versus Valiant, where can Valiant pick up that win? Will SK Prime deny it to them? Well, I guess you'll have to stick around and find out, won't you? See you in a minute or two.